Who says you need expensive products to make a gorgeous mixed media project? Today, yes, I can't believe I'm saying this, but today we are going to make art out of toilet roll. Hopefully a household basic that we all have. Yes, so without further ado, and before you think I've gone completely mad, let's turn this into art. In this video, we are going to look at 3 different ways that you can use toilet paper, yes, I said that correctly, toilet paper in a mixed media project. So the first technique involves stamps. So I've got this lovely Carbell stamp, and basically what I'm doing is absolutely soaking it with water. Then grabbing some of my toilet roll and pushing it into the stamp. And I'm just going to keep layering and layering with lots of toilet paper and lots of water. So just kind of keep spraying it till it's absolutely soaking. I mean, seriously, this was absolutely soaking wet. And then I'm trying to push the toilet roll into the gaps of the stamp, into the recesses of the stamp, because when it dries, that's where we will end up with some gorgeous sort of like 3D styled, I don't know what I'm trying to think. It'll almost look like paper clay when it's done. So yeah, I'm just going to keep repeating this process, and yeah, I don't think there's much more to say about this. We are spraying with water and pushing it in. Now, why have I decided to make a video on how to craft with toilet roll? Well, mixed media, I love mixed media. It's a gorgeous form of art and you can be really creative with it, and I just wanted to show that you can make gorgeous things no matter your budget. So this entire make, we have used cardboard, toilet roll and a freebie stamp. So this is it now, leaving it all to dry. I left it overnight and in all honesty it was still soaking, and it's been such gorgeous weather up here that the next day I put it out in the garden for it to dry off. Whilst that was drying off, I decided to make the main sort of substrate for the project, and I have used a cardboard box. So as I was saying, we are looking at real budget supplies. Nothing really fancy has gone on to this particular project. I'm just altering the shape of this cardboard piece so that I get an aspect ratio that I am comfortable with, that I like, and also I'm sort of tearing the edges as well to reveal that gorgeous, look at that, double corrugated. I get so excited when cardboard comes in that has a double corrugation. I'm honestly a cardboard hoarder, it's shocking. I actually have a box of cardboard, and if it doesn't fit in the box I don't keep it, because I would keep everything. So I'm wanting to expose a bit more of that texture, so I'm getting my scissors in there and pulling away the top layer so we can see some of that gorgeous corrugatedness. Not sure if that's a word. But look at that texture, it's just gorgeous, and it's such a budget supply. So I'm then coming in with my gel medium, and we're going to look at the second way of using toilet paper, and I'm just literally scrunching it up and gel mediuming it down. Coming up with a lot of great words today, aren't we? This is like craft speak lingo, invented language. Gel mediuming. So I've just got like this toilet roll, and I am smooshing it down and wrinkling it as we go. And again, what this is going to do is add lots of added texture. So we have the texture from the cardboard, we'll have the kind of runkles and crunkles from this toilet paper being pushed down. So I mean, you can do this with other things. You can do it with like rice paper, tissue paper. I just thought toilet roll was a really budget supply, and as I said, it's something that we should all have in the house. I'm pretty sure all of us can put our hand on a roll of toilet roll. There's also other things you can do with the innards of it. We've not discovered that in this video because it's it would be a too long video, but maybe like next time that's what we'll do. So I'm just kind of completing this mess. That's what I love about mixed media. Through half the video, if anyone kind of stopped in at this particular stage, they would be like, what on earth are you doing, you crazy lady? I mean, look at that, it just looks like such a mess. But I promise you, we're going to turn this into something gorgeous. So we definitely need to trust the process. This is definitely the ugly stage. Now, because I kind of just used the side of a box, where the fold lines of the box were, it was a little bit weak.
you would get a lot of bendage, another made up word there. We get a lot of movement in those particular areas. So I just wanted to strengthen those a little bit so that the piece is solid. So I've taken a bit more of the cardboard. It also gives a bit of interest because we've got some of the corrugation going down vertically and now some horizontally. So when we start to look and play with textures in the finished project, this is going to give a much more overall interesting and cohesive look. It's almost going to frame that middle section once it's all ready. So I also, once I've finished this, I'll leave this to dry because the gel medium is quite sticky. So we can leave it to dry, and although you can dry it with a heat gun, it tends to bubble. So I just let that dry naturally. Once it was dry, we have magically skipped forward. We have got some gesso. Love gesso. Gesso is essential to life. Fixes us. Oh my days, our words today. Oh, word. So we are just literally covering this in gesso. Gesso is a primer. So it just gives everything a nice even surface. It means everything that we use on this is going to react the same because we've got that gorgeous gesso on there, which gives a bit of a tooth. Here comes the big reveal of the tissue paper. Look at that! I mean, you could spend, I can't remember what I spend on paper clay. I should really research that. I think it used to be about £8 a block, and that is toilet roll. How much does your cheapest bog standard toilet roll cost? And I didn't even go through a whole roll in this project. I think I went through about half a roll in this project, and I did a lot with this toilet paper. But look at those, they just look gorgeous. They look so fancy schmancy. So it does show that you could have techniques. I think one of the stamps was a bit dirty, so there's a bit of colour on that. So I've kind of left it plain, but I think we definitely need to experiment more with like inking up first before putting it down. So there's a lot more playing and experimenting to do with this technique. I can't wait. So I am now just sort of tearing into this, and because it is toilet roll, it is paper, so it tears nice and easy, and I'm trying to get some interesting shapes that work within the shapes that we created on the original substrate. So I just kind of keep faffing about and tearing bits and pieces and rearranging them and moving them until I'm happy. I always find this stage kind of takes not the longest, but yeah, it just takes a minute just to get the overall appearance of what you like. The other good thing about this being toilet paper is that I wasn't afraid to tear into it, and because you're not going to ruin it. So I still can't believe I'm making a video about toilet roll. But you're not going to ruin it, are you? It's not like you're going to waste it. The only thing is the time, because it does take forever to dry. Now, because it is toilet roll, I'm a little bit concerned that when I start putting my paints and things that we could lose the detail and the impression that it's given against the stamp. So what I am doing is, whilst I am sticking it down with gel medium, I am also putting a really thin layer of gel medium across the top in order to seal it. The piece of sorry, the piece of toilet roll that had the floral design, I didn't realise how funny this would be to voiceover. The piece of toilet roll with the floral design, I decided I would like it to be slightly raised. So I've used the same cardboard. This is a bit of a leftover piece of cardboard from the original piece that we kind of pulled apart in order to make our project. And I used that to stick it to. And as you can see, I'm just sort of sealing back and front of the toilet roll. I'm trying so hard to say that without laughing. Oh my days. So obviously once we have covered all of this in gel medium has a slightly different surface to the gesso. It is more likely to resist paints and things. So I then pull out the gesso again, and all of that stuff, now that it has been sealed and dried, I cover in gesso. And this makes it all uniform for the fun stuff where we start painting, and this is going to stop looking like a heap of scrap. It's going to stop looking like cardboard and toilet roll and turn into an amazing work of art. So I'm just going to do lots and lots and lots of dry brushing. So I've pulled out my colour combo. I didn't like that yellow, it gets quite bright. I end up muting that down quite a bit. And as you can see, it's just, I'm really slowly building up the colourways. I then add in a little bit of green to try and soften it a little bit. In my head I was going to be going, I pretty much stick to what was in my head. In my head I was going lemon, green and blue. I didn't have a finished idea with this project. It sort of took its own it went its own way. That tends to be the way I craft. I very rarely have a finished idea in my head. I normally have, I want to play with this, and the project tends to take me where it wants to go. I know that sounds really airy-fairy and fluffy, but it's the way my brain works. If I have a brain, whatever's in there, that's how it works. So we're adding a little bit of blue, building up the colour. Look how they are blending together now. They just look so lush, those colours. I do end up adding a little bit of pink in now, a little bit of colour theory. If we add the pink in, we are going to end up with using the 3 primary colours, yellow, blue and red on the project, even though it is slightly more muted tones, and we risk getting mud. We risk getting dreaded brown. So I waited for the background of the other colours to dry. They all blended in together firstly, so I let them dry, and then once it was dry I put in the pink. Now this was quite funny. I decided it needed a bit of black. Black always makes things pop, but I was quite nervous because I was loving the pastel vibes. And I was thinking, oh, so you can see I'm kind of really gingerly going in there, just putting like little bits here and there. And then as I was really watching those colours pop, this is the thing about black. Your pastels look more pastel and your brights look more bright when there is a contrast of black. It just makes the colours work so much better when you have that extreme contrast. Now at this point I'm like, yep, this is looking good. I was like really happy with it. And so then you just see me like, oh, I'm going for it now. Forget the gentle stuff. We're just rubbing that ink pad all over it. Look at me. Look at the pressure and everything. It's like just going for it. But look how much it pops. It looks so good. And look at that texture and all of that. Can you believe that that is cardboard and toilet roll? I mean, look at it. It's just a thing of beauty. This is what I love about mixed media. We can literally take, I choose my words carefully here, we can literally take rubbish, stuff that would just go in the tip or flush down the loo. We can take rubbish and turn it into something beautiful. It's amazing. Now we're going to make flowers. This part of the video is in real time. So if you don't want to see how to make the flowers and it gets a bit boring, this being so slow, I will have time stamped this so you can get back to the project. But basically we take a few sheets of toilet roll, depending on how big you want your flower, and you do a double fold first to give it a bit of strength, and then just twist. Then you move along and twist again. Now sometimes it doesn't quite play ball, but you do want a kind of definite sort of shape and twist. You can see I was struggling there, so I just did it, but then I fiddled, and then we ended up with that space. And we just, once you kind of get into it, the further along the flower that you go, it becomes a little bit easier. Just to kind of get that twist in place. And as I said, this depends on how big you want your rose out. This one's kind of like a fairly average size one. As I was making more, I did make some bigger, I made some smaller, but we're just kind of going along. Fold it, make sure you've got a nice bit of tissue there because you don't want it ripping. The other thing that I discovered is try to make sure that the twist doesn't land on the perforation of the toilet roll. I did have a few bits that were a little bit difficult because the way I'd put it, it was going to end up twisting on the perforation, and that didn't go very well. So just try and avoid the perforated parts and just keep going. And as you can see, I'm just repeating the same thing. I can't remember how many sheets I used on this. I think this one was about 5. And I did make some smaller ones that used about 3 sheets. And also, if you wanted to make bigger ones, you can make them as long as you want. So we're just going to keep going. As I said, this is why I have said that it is time stamped. So if you're really bored, you can just kind of skip forward to when we start putting the project together again. But look, we're getting to the end. You can see the end of the toilet roll coming up just there. And yeah, twist and shake. Oh dear. So we have finally got to the end, and we're just going to roll it all up. So now we just roll it, and then I tended to pinch and scrunch between the twists that we had made, and that just helped to give it that sort of petal flower shape. And we just kind of keep moving it. So it's a bit like if you've ever made a paper rose, it's very similar to making the paper rose. And the reason that we sort of fold the things down and then twist is that it just gives it a bit of strength. Now there are lots of different types of flowers that you can make using toilet roll. You can make carnations, it's a different technique. There's lots of different styles, but for my project, I liked the rose, so that we went for that. But if you would like to see more flowers made out of toilet roll, let me know in the comments below and we can do a video just on that. So I kind of, once we've got it all together, give it a little floof and just twist it at the spine. I'm just kind of pulling all the petals out there, and then I've got some thread which I've literally just wrapped around it. I'm using invisible thread, that's not essential. To be honest, that was probably a waste of money. I would have used normal thread, but it literally was the only thing in my stash, hence why we used that one. Because as I said, today we are talking budget. It's budget friendly crafting. So we just give that a couple of ties with the thread just there, just to make sure. And then I have cut that back so it's easier to craft with, because we don't need all of that excess. And there we have it, a lovely little toilet roll rose. Look at that, it's so cute and pretty. So we made a whole bunch of the excuse me, tickling my throat. Made a whole bunch of those, and then I decided to put them onto my project. So I just kind of pulled a few out. To be honest, at this point I really didn't know what direction I was going in. We needed to give the roses a bit of oomph though. They looked a bit bland against the rest of the project, so I pulled out some mica powders. Again, use anything that's in your stash, any form of colouring medium. If you don't have mica powders, even like your eyeshadow, things like that would work. I'm sure you could find something. Chalks, children's chalks. I just happen to have these sort of things in my stash, but as I said, because we are talking budget friendly, just use what you have. There will be a way of you being able to do this. And we bring out the hot glue gun and stick them all together. Now, this video, in my head, this video was just about really budget supplies and using toilet roll and being creative, and I wanted to show you 3 different ways to use it. So I'm sticking these flowers down, I've done what I've wanted to do, and then I'm thinking this is not a finished project. I don't know what to do with this now. I'd ended up with these lovely little flowers in the corner, some really pretty bits a bit further up that looked really cool, but it wasn't a finished project, it was just a bit meh. And then I was thinking, what on earth do I do with it now? So at this point, I'm looking at it going, I don't know what to do. So I decided to just keep going, trust the process. I pulled out some thread, and this is embroidery thread that I had, but again, just use anything that you have. So I'm kind of wrapping that around my fingers, adding a little bit of glue, and then just sort of poking it in. So I feel like what I did here was I skipped right ahead to the embellishing stage, whereas I hadn't actually made a feature of anything. So I mean, yeah, it's looking really pretty and I'm getting all the embellishments in and it's looking really good, but what is the project actually about? What is the focus? Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, we're going to keep making it pretty, and we end up putting these little cabochons on. These cabochons, I think, to be honest, I stole these from, it was at a friend's wedding, and they decorated the table out all pretty with these like cabochons, and then at the end of the evening when everyone was tidying up, I'm like scooping them off the table, putting them into my bag. They've lasted me years. So I'm kind of realising this just doesn't, like, the white just wasn't working particularly well against the rest of the project, so I tried putting a little bit of black on there, and I think it looks alright with the black, but still it's lacking something. And I realised my mistake, I've not got a feature, so then I just undo all the work I just did, pull all of that off. That's the thing, you can change your mind whilst doing a project, it's okay. So I had this little image in my Bitbox. The good thing about this image is she's free. So we're still on topic with our budget crafting. This is my little ice queen. I will link to her in the description box below if you want to download her for free. I coloured her up with Glinda looking colours. I think I've done a few things with her, and I coloured her up because her dress just reminded me of like Glinda's puffball pink dress. So she was already coloured up and happened to be in the colours of pink and green. That was just a really happy accident. That's why I love a Bitbox. You never know what you're going to do. So I'm going to stick that in. I now have a feature and I feel like I have a point to work with. I should probably work that out at the beginning, but we get there in the end. Now all the roses are in completely the wrong place, so we have to pull them off, and I damaged a little bit of the stuff underneath, and we ended up with some random toilet roll bits sticking out that needed covered with paint. That's okay, we fixed that. At least with it being very textural, it didn't really matter that we have a ripped section. It was fine. So we stick the roses back down in the right place to properly frame the picture. And now we're cooking on gas, you know? So it just shows you don't have to have a plan and work it out. You can let the project take you where it wants to go and it still turns out okay. And there's me sort of dealing with loose stringy threads and things, but we get there. Then I decided to give it a bit of sparkle. Now the other thing is these roses are made from toilet roll. They will easily get water damaged or things like that. So I decided to use some souffle. Again, you could just pull your gel medium out for this, and if you wanted a bit of added sparkle, you could put in some glitter. But I'm pretty much painting the whole of these roses with this souffle because it's essentially a gel medium with glitter in it. So it's going to protect those roses, they're going to keep their shape, it's going to stop them from getting damaged in the future. So let that dry overnight, and then we are in the final stages. I'm using the lovely Dawn's sentiments. So we have Be True, Dream, and always believe in yourself, be true and dream, which I thought worked really well. We had to believe in ourselves. And finally, I am just adding some splatters. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. The idea of this video was to let's just do crafting on a budget. Just use the paints that you have in your stash, whatever you've got, but this is completely affordable for everyone to try, and I think the results are just gorgeous. I've explored some new techniques, but we could do more with the stamps, I'm sure, and we could make different flowers. So if there's something that you'd like to see more of, please do let me know. If you enjoy mixed media, you might enjoy checking out this video right here.